All right, all right, all right. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me get all my screens up so I can get you guys going. Hold on one second. We're going to get started in just a second. All right, let's see if I got everything. I think I do. Let me see. Where's my Zoom? All right, welcome, welcome, welcome to tonight's training. I'll be starting in one second. Let me get everybody a chance to get in here. We are going to be having a deep conversation about how to move your money into the best investments and put things to work for you. Let me share my screen and get everything up and running, and then we'll be ready to start. So, come on, go live and almost ready. If you're new here, if you've never been on a call before, just let me know in the chat what part of the country you are in, where you are from. I'll be happy to discuss. If you have any real estate experience, that's always good to show us that. Let's see. Okay, so this is running. All right, I think we're good to go. Give me one more second. I'll give people a few minutes to get in here. Just put in the chat, just say hello. Let me know what part of the country you're from. Do you have any real estate experience? Are you a real estate agent? Are you a real estate investor? You never touched real estate? We'll be getting started in one second. You should be able to see my screen. Let me make sure. Yep, you should be able to see my screen. And we'll get into this in a second. Let me see. Where's my pin? All right. We are almost ready to go. All right. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Art. I am part of the dynamic duo Art and Aisha. We do live real estate training, and we've been doing real estate for 20 plus years. We started off as landlords. We bought a bunch of single family houses. We absolutely hated it, and we did that for a couple of years and decided we wanted to do something different. Sold a bunch of stuff and ended up, we bought in 3 years, we bought 36 properties. Got tired of it very quickly, decided to sell everything, and then we started doing what we do now. Well, variation of it, and we do quick turn real estate. We buy and sell stuff. We do not keep it, and what we do with it, after I'll explain in the video in a little bit. But what we do with it is we take that and put it into commercial real estate. That profit, we put it into commercial real estate, and it works very well for us. So we're going to be talking about how you can do this same model and how you can get the same results without having to fix up properties, without having to deal with tenants. Nothing wrong with tenants. I just don't want to deal with them. It's just it becomes, when it's a business model, it becomes a whole thing to deal with tenants. So we'll talk about that. And let's get started. So I try to get everybody a chance to get in here. Let me see. I know everybody comes in after I start because I try to avoid that. And everybody's like, why did you start on time? Anyway, let's get into it. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat, or let me know you can see me and hear me okay, so I know that everything is working. I like to try to make sure that everybody can touch bases. So, last thing I'm going to tell you before we get started is when we get this presentation is about 30 minutes, and then after that, okay, Sherry from Louisiana, nice to meet you. What we do is we get into this. This will take about 30 minutes. From there, if you have questions about what we do, or anything that I've gone over, then I'll be happy to kind of go over that with you. And I'll share some stuff with you. And I can guarantee you, this is different. I can guarantee you one of the topics I'm going to discuss on this tonight, you have more than likely never heard of, and no other program or training that you've ever seen has said anything about this, because this is new and the students that work with us know about it. But I'm introducing this to you guys for the first time. So pay attention. And it's nothing, I guarantee you haven't seen this anywhere before. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. How to replace income with no rehab, no tenant real estate. Again, my name is Art. This is my wife, Aisha. We've been doing this for about 25 plus years, doing real estate. Specifically, this strategy, we've been doing it for about 10 years. Okay, so let's get into it. What makes this strategy different? I know you have probably been on a million of these free webinars or any of that stuff, and everybody tells you how their strategy is the best, from tax liens and everything else. Well, let me start off by telling you this is not a get rich quick plan. This is not one of those do this, do it one time, you'll make a bunch of money, and then you don't ever have to worry about money again. This is a business model. Okay. So we'll talk about that in a second. This is not wholesaling. This is not buying property and then putting it under contract and then turning around and selling it to another investor and hoping that they pay you and you get your money the way you're supposed to get your money. So it is not a wholesaling process. Next thing, this is not landlording. I will say this again. I don't like being a landlord. I never have liked being a landlord. It was not my cup of tea. It's too much responsibility, and at the same time, nobody thanks you when you do the stuff you're supposed to do. This is not that. This is a structured acquisition and resale model. This is more like McDonald's. McDonald's owns the potato when it comes out of the ground. They take it all the way to their store, sell it to you, and that's the last time they see it. So you control the entire process. It makes everything a lot more profitable, and it makes it a lot less stressful. And that is my big thing. I don't like stress, and I like profit. So I'm going to show you how to do that. This is built for professionals who want leverage, not labor. If you're somebody that likes being busy, this is not for you. This is not do 600 cold calls, and by the time you finish, you should have two people that want to talk to you. This is a business model that you can do consistently and get results for, and most importantly, make good profits. Okay. So I hope I have your interest. I hope everybody can see me. Who does well with this strategy? What type of person or situation does well with this strategy? Let's talk about that. High earning professionals that have strong credit and strong income. Now, you're not going to use strong credit or strong income entirely through this process, but if you're building a business, it helps if you're in a pretty good position to start off. And if you're not, I have some options for you, but this is really good for high earning professionals or people that are in a good position and maybe they're looking for a different, pace to life. They're looking for something that they can do once they're ready to retire or they're getting closer to retirement, or especially if you haven't built retirement money yet or you don't feel you have enough. If you have paper wealth, but not enough liquid freedom, a lot of people have money tied up in investments that they could never access, like their house or things like that. This is a great way to supplement so you can have more money. Use that house. You don't even have to use the house money. You can show the house money and use that to build your business and how to build an ongoing business. If you are tired of guru fluff, I am not a guru and I try not to pretend to be a guru. I'm not going to tell you a bunch of fancy things that make it seem like this is so easy. This is a process that works. And I have an ulterior motive for showing people this process. We get into commercial real estate, which I'm going to touch on tonight. But when we get into commercial real estate, we invest as a group in commercial real estate. So I'm always looking for people to join us in commercial real estate. Part of having money for commercial real estate is building up a war chest of cash. And this process with dealing with single family houses allows you to build up that war chest of cash and put it to work in commercial if you choose to, and you get some tax benefits. If you want structure and not hustle, I try to get people out of that hustle mindset because of the fact that when you take that hustle mindset, you're thinking, let me do this deal, then I'll take a month or two off. I want this to be an ongoing process. What we've done to make this, our numbers, we do six figures, high six figures the first year we started, we did about six figures every year. Now we do about seven figures, low seven figures every year, just doing this process with our commercial real estate. But it's a continuous ongoing process. If you are ambitious but need a solid, consistent strategy, a lot of people are ambitious and they want to do great things, but they don't have the exact tools that they need to get started. I'm going to show you how to do that without breaking the bank and spending all your money. So let's talk about the real problem. What's the real issue here? Why people aren't more successful when they get into real estate? And slow me down and stop me. If you've got a question, you can ask it in the chat and I'll go over it. Salary creates lifestyle, not legacy. There's nothing wrong with getting a nice salary and everything else. It pays the bills. But the day you stop working, a lot of times that is it. Or if you have a retirement, you might feel you don't have enough retirement. That was the situation with me and Aisha. We wanted something that built beyond just having a paycheck. And this does that. Traditional landlording. A lot of people want to get into traditional landlording. It creates a lot of obligation, not freedom. If you've ever been a landlord, then you know that your tenants will call you at the most inopportune times. I never forget when a tenant called me when we were getting ready to go out of town, and I was literally on a plane, and I had to stop everything and call a handyman and try to get them over. It was a mess. Tenants and being a landlord creates a lot of obligation, so it can be kind of heavy. Too many strategies, no consistent execution. If you are a guru junkie or you're a real estate training junkie and you get on every single call and listen to all these strategies, your head is probably spinning right now. I'm going to break this down as simply as possible so you can see what it involves and so you don't have to do 16 different strategies. When you do that, you take the chance on really messing up because you're trying to combine strategies or don't really know what you're doing. Time poverty is the real constraint. The biggest constraint we all have usually is time. You're looking at where you're at in age, and do you want to keep running as hard as you are right now? And you might be thinking, I need to do something that'll bring in some money, but at the same time allow me to slow down a little bit. That's what this does. It generates a retirement kind of level of working out, because it works well. My mother does this same thing. Me and my wife do this same thing, and it works really well. It's something, my mother's retired. We go a little bit harder than she does, but it works, and it's not, super hard to get into and keep going. These are results of a strategy issue. When you have these kind of problems, not a personal failure. It's not saying that you're not doing right. It's just saying that your strategy or how you've gone about it aren't giving you the results you want. And this will help you do that. So I'm going to break this down. Why traditional real estate strategies fail for professionals. Now, these are some of the strategies that I went over, but I'm going to talk about what causes you to fail with these strategies. Wholesaling. Wholesaling is a constant outbound hustle. You are constantly trying to reach out to people. You're trying to go drive for houses. You're trying to cold call people. You are constantly outbound. I was a wholesaler for about 2 years, and I did make some money. I remember we did a deal. We made $40,000 on a deal. When we made 40,000, I did what any person that just made 40,000 unexpectedly would do. I took my kids and my wife to Disney World. Went to Disney World, spent a bunch of money, came back, realized that money was dwindling. I had to get right back to work. It's a constant grind. That's why I'm not a big fan of wholesaling, and it can fall apart very easily. Fix and flip, you got a lot of stuff to deal with. Contractor risk. If anybody's ever did a fix and flip, you have to have a good contractor, and even then, you never know. You have capital risk because you're putting a lot of money out. Even if the bank is blocked and backstopping you, you're putting a lot of money out. You've got to get to that next part of it before they release the money to you. And that's if nothing goes wrong, which oftentimes it does. The Burr method, the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat, has long hold cycles and it's refinance dependent. I know a lot of investors that have gotten burned that started off in the Burr method, and when they went to do their refinance because the market had changed, they were not able to get the money that they expected out of the refinance, and it put the brakes on their entire business. So that's a risky bet for me. Landlording, obviously, you've got tenant exposure, which I've said multiple times already. And it's stressful. Landlording is stressful and it's uncertain. I always say that your tenants are your best friends every month. By the end of the month, they can't stand you anymore. So it's very stressful to deal with tenants and landlording. These strategies are inefficient models for professionals. When you somebody that already has a high stress or professional job or a professional role, and that could be a lot of different things, you don't need to add to that by taking on one of these strategies that can be stressful. So let's talk about what quick turn actually is. What is our strategy and how does it work? So our strategy essentially works out to four pieces. You're going to set up a strong marketing funnel. That means you're going to set this up and it's based on data, not based on luck or guessing or what you think a good market is. You're going to set up a strong marketing funnel, and that marketing funnel is going to make people that have exactly what you want reach out to you and call you. So once you set this marketing funnel up, your job is essentially to answer the phone. That's it. You are going to negotiate for value. No repairing, no managing, none of the stuff that you usually deal with real estate, you're not going to have to deal with. You are negotiating for value. And what I mean by this is that we get people to call us that have significant equity in their property. When they have significant equity in their property, you just have to negotiate for some of that equity. You don't need all of it. You just need some of it. And it's easy to negotiate that because there are people that sell property for all kinds of different reasons. And most of them don't have to deal with, they just want the most money they can get. People would always like the most money, but that's usually not the reason why they sell. You're going to negotiate that. You buy the property. So you actually own the property. Unlike wholesaling where you get it under contract, we show you a process where you actually buy and own the property. And so that's what works. And it has done very well for us. And you control the deal. That's the most important part. You control the asset. You make the decisions. There's nobody to undercut you. The seller can't go behind your back. The buyer can't go around you to get to the seller. These are all things that happened to me when I was wholesaling. Once we buy and own the property, there is no going around us. They have to deal with us. You resell strategically with lower market risk. So we're going to talk in a second about why selling this way and buying this way lowers your risk compared to these other market options. So you don't take on as much risk, especially in an up and down market where you don't know what's going to happen the next day. Speed is built into the model. This model is focused on speed. It's about getting a property, getting it under control, and then getting rid of it quickly. And that's what this model does for you. Okay. So the four phases of quick turn, let's talk about that because essentially what we're talking about only requires you to do four things. And if you do these four things, you will be very successful with what you do. It's not that hard. So the four phases of quick turn come down to number one, targeted acquisition. So you are targeting exactly what you're going for, who you're looking for, and the types of properties that you're going to come up with. Once you know those properties are, once people reach out to you, every time someone calls you, they're calling you about the specific thing they have the exact thing you want. They have the type of property you want, which helps. Number two is structured negotiation. That is your value add. That is how you are adding value to the deal. You are negotiating for, so most people are used to sweat equity or appreciation, which is long-term equity. We just negotiate some of the equity that they already have, and it works really well and allows us to get what we need out of the property without having to add value doing a fix-up. After that, you're going to do simplified financing. This simplified financing is simply allowing you, we buy properties through one of three sources. We use a commercial line of credit. We have a lender that does 100% financing, and it doesn't work in every situation, we do owner financing. And we have a very smooth way that we do owner financing that works really well. One of those three ways is how you can buy literally every property. So it doesn't require a huge down payment in most cases. It doesn't, and even if you do, we have a way you get your down payment back very quickly. It doesn't, with the owner financing that we do, we typically get 0% interest and no payments for the life of the loan. That is the way we do our owner financing, and it works really well. So simplified financing means you don't have to jump through a lot of hoops to put together a deal. Number four is strategic exit patterns. I'm going to talk to you about one exit pattern that I guarantee you probably have never heard of. If you have, you've only heard it from me. Other than that, we can do strategic exits so we can get out of the property quickly and move on. This is a conveyor belt business. We don't care about the individual house. I know a lot of people, they focus on how pretty they make the house look and how they got the house and it was such a steal. We have a conveyor belt. We constantly bring in properties. We're constantly selling properties. And if you do it that way where you don't care about the individual property, you make a lot more money. Those are the four. If you learn these four processes, you can make all the money you want to make with real estate. Okay. So speed as a wealth multiplier. Let's talk about speed for a minute because it is very important in this process. Most people, they don't want to admit it, but they are looking at a 12-month cycle for the average flip. An average flip, meaning something that did not need an entire rehab, is usually about a 12-month process. Now, when I say 12 months, I'm counting the time it took you to buy the property, the time it took you to do the rehab, get your permits, get clear with the city, then turn around and put the house up for sale. Then it sits on the market until it sells, or you rent it out. That process to get everything done typically is a 12-month cycle. You don't see it that way. You say it only took me 4 months to fix it up, but you're not counting the time it took you to buy it and sell it or rent it out or whatever you do. Versus what we do, it's about a 60 to 90-day cycle. From the day you start talking to a seller to the day you're selling, you're probably in a 60 to 90-day cycle. Now, it can go longer than that if there's a problem with the seller or something like that. But the part that you're working on and that you're spending your time on is usually 60 to 90 days. And you might make a little bit less than a flip, maybe, but at the same time, you're able to do multiple properties because we're not fixing them up, because we're not going to visit the properties. We can do everything from our desk. Capital velocity. Get your money and reuse it quickly. This is something that is extremely underrated. When you do a flip, when you buy a house, fix it up, you put all of your money into this fix up. You can't do more deals because of the fact your money's tied up into this property. Does that sound familiar to anyone? When you started a flip and you put all your money, something went wrong and the money you had as reserves, you had to use that. That is slowing down your capital and how much it moves. Money multiplies when you move it quickly. When we buy a house and then turn around and sell it, we are typically buying it on Friday. We're putting it out on the market to sell on Monday. We are very fast because we don't have a lot to do to the property. That keeps our money moving and allows us to reuse it quickly, and it grows our money extremely well because of capital velocity. So that's how fast you move your money. Risk compression. So let me explain this. When you do a 12-month flip, You could do everything right in that 12-month flip. Do you know what your risk is? Do you know what you're risking in that time? What you're risking that has nothing to do with you is you're risking that the market changes. The market slows down, interest rates go up, your area slows down, a major employer closes down, and it causes a lot of people to put their house on the market. By buying a property and quickly selling it, you are compressing that risk into a much smaller window. So there's less chance of it happening. Now, if you've ever done any real estate, most of you who've done real estate know that the market does not change overnight. It can change over a couple of months usually, but not typically overnight. We usually get in and get out in a short enough period of time that we don't have to worry about the market swings because we're not there for very long. So it lowers that risk, and that's important. And it's something that you can't control. So you need to limit how much risk you're taking on. Next is compounding through repetition. By doing this process over and over again, you are going to build up cash very quickly. Like I said, when we do our business model, when we started off generating about six figures every year from this business. Now we generate low seven figures from this every year. And we do that because of the fact that we can keep doing the same process over and over again, generating very significant money on each property without putting up rehab, without dealing with tenants and all that kind of stuff. Now, we do have to deal with tenants in the fact when we inherit them, but we've got a quick process. We're not long term dealing with tenants. It's very short, if anything, that we deal with tenants. This strategy uses math and logic. It is structured. Everything that I'm explaining to you is structured. It is not guessing. It is not let me figure it out. Everything from where we pick out where we're buying at to the specific properties we're going to market to, everything is structured using math and logic. It is not guessing. And so that makes it consistent and it makes it easy to repeat and replicate. Okay. What makes this lower risk? Buying equity is not chasing appreciation. So when you're chasing appreciation, usually you're holding a property, you're hoping it goes up in value. That's something that a lot of landlords do. That's something that rehabbers do. They hope the market goes up while they have it. Is anybody here a rehabber or a landlord? Or is everybody, fresh and new to real estate? Let me know in the chat where you stand as an investor. If you've been a landlord or currently a landlord, or you do rehabs, what you do. Buying equity, which is what we're doing, is actually different. The equity is already there. We're not, if you look at after repaired value, if you look at what the place is worth once you finish the work, all of that stuff has nothing to do with us. We look at what a property is worth today in its current condition, and a lot of our properties aren't falling apart or they're not, dilapidated or anything like that. But it's buying equity. It's not chasing appreciation. You have a controlled entry price. You will know exactly what you're getting into, and you know that it is lower than what the property is worth right now. And that controls your entry, and you'll be able to have a pretty strong answer with your exit when it's time. You have a defined exit plan before closing. You know exactly how you're going to get rid of it. You know exactly the process you're going to do. It is not something where I had a student a couple of months ago, and their logic was, I've got this place, I got a great deal on it. Maybe I should just rent it out. And I told her, don't rent it out. She literally did not rent it. She thought that it was worth renting out because she would clear about $1,500 because she got a really good deal on it. I told her don't rent it out, and she ended up walking away with $134,000 not renting it out, if that makes sense. So by not renting the property out and selling it with a defined exit plan, she was able to walk away with considerably more money on her first deal. You got a short exposure window, which means you've got less risk. And I know some of you might be thinking, what does that matter? Listen, that market risk is a real thing. It's nothing. If you do rehabs, you'll be shocked at you do a rehab. You fix it up. It takes you some time. You're ready to sell it. And then your agent tells you that the market is turned. Just sell it for what you can. And you're trying to scramble to get out of this thing and turn some kind of profit just after all the work you've put in. We don't have that problem. We have a shorter exposure window, and it allows us to take on less risk. Faster turnaround lowers market swing risk. So that's what that means. So the other thing we do is that once you build up a war chest of cash of buying properties, you have another way of building wealth. And so we use houses to build cash. We look at houses, single family houses, two flats. We look at them as not an investment grade asset. They are a short term cash flow asset or cash asset. We buy them and we turn around and immediately sell them for cash. That gives you liquidity. That cash gives you liquidity. You could have $1 million in property equity. You could have a property you own free and clear that's worth $1 million, and you could struggle to buy your next property because you have $1 million in equity, but you don't have cash. Having cash gives you liquidity. The next thing is liquidity builds access. It builds access to bigger projects. So we go into commercial, and part of the requirement with some of the commercial we do is that you have some cash. Even if someone tells you you can get into commercial with very little or no money, you can, but either you're going to be leveraged to the hilt or you're going to be taking on such a big project that you run the risk of it having a high degree of failure because of the fact that you're taking on all the risk. A lot of times people will do these crazy owner finance deals with commercial, and they end up not being able to get out of it because the owner knew exactly what they were doing, giving you the property. You just didn't realize it. Liquidity builds access. You can make good decisions because you're coming to the table with some cash. I have a vested interest. So people ask me all the time, Art and Aisha, if you're doing so well, why are you teaching what you do? And the simple answer is because we invest in commercial and we want partners or people to work with us and go into commercial with us. And what better way to build trust and work with them than to show them how to build money through single family real estate, and then they can take some of that cash tax free or at least tax deferred and put it into commercial real estate. So that's what that does. Access leads to commercial opportunities. So this allows you to get into a position where you can do commercial investments. This will give you a seat at the table for investments that you normally would not get to see. We've done what we typically do is mobile home parks. We don't do mobile homes, but mobile home parks. We do self-storage units and we do strip malls. Those three, and not saying that those are the only ones. Those are just three options that we choose because they're less tenant heavy. With mobile home parks, we own the land, not the mobile home, because it's easier. But this gives you a seat at the table for some really good investments, and that's what we teach so that you learn to get to that point so you can make those kind of investments. Now, another option that no one has talked about, or no one, I'm sure no one knows about, is you can build your business faster with new options. So things like now there are new options to get out of a property. So imagine buying a property that has equity in it, and then you can sell it. So if you have, has anybody on here heard of fractional real estate? If you have, just say me or something in the chat. Fractional real estate is the process of taking a piece of real estate and breaking it into pieces or selling it in pieces. So instead of selling it like one whole house, you sell pieces of it. Fractional real estate is a new option that's available and it's just coming into the scene, but it's growing rapidly. The Land Trust X platform, which is a platform that Land Trust X platform is something that we've used and you can liquidate quickly. Imagine buying a house and then putting it on a platform and then selling it at market value within a couple of days. Not putting it on and listing it and hoping it sells, but selling it in a couple of days at market value. And you can then, to go a step further, you can use these new tools to build a hybrid investment. Now, what do I mean by a hybrid investment? So you have a house that you put on the market on Land Trust X platform and you sell it for cash. Okay, you sell that property for cash, but instead of selling the whole thing, you keep a small part of it as equity. You hold a small part. So let's say 20,000 of it, you keep as equity. Now that property, because you sold the rest of it, it becomes a rental property or whatever it becomes on the platform. Now you get 20% of the rental income that property makes, but you still got 80% of your cash. So now you take your $80,000 and you go do other investments and go buy more property, but you still got 20% that is generating revenue, rental income revenue. And the beautiful thing is you can spread it across multiple properties to lower your risk. Because if you had your 20,000 or 20% spread across 10 properties, what's the chances that your tenants stop paying? Maybe one of them stops paying, but the chances that all 10 stop paying and you got your money spread across multiple properties, very low. So platforms like Land Trust X allow you to do that. Now, Land Trust X, as far as I know, is the only platform that allows investors to put their property on the platform. Most of the platforms, they buy the investments and then they just sell them to you. This platform allows you to put your properties that you buy on the platform and sell off the pieces and keep as little or as much as you want, if that makes sense. Most investors aren't even aware of these options. So if you want to check it out, it's landtrustx.com. You can sign up on the site. And it's a newer platform, but it allows you to get equity out of your properties quickly. And that's something that a lot of people did not even know existed. Okay. So what happens when it's done correctly? When you do this process correctly, you have a predictable acquisition model. You know how many properties you want to bring in. You can say, I'm going to do this much marketing, bring in this many properties. You have defined margins. You're going to know what your margins are because it's not if I fix up the property or if the market goes up. It is because I know the property is worth this today and I know I'm buying it for this amount. So I know I'm going to get this much profit. You can predictably know your margins. You've got controlled financing. The financing isn't going to be a surprise. You don't have to work out a deal with the seller. You can actually buy the property and control the financing, know exactly what you're going to pay, what's going to cost you down, and how you're going to get out of it. Then it's a repeatable cycle. So you can do this over and over again and get faster and better at it because you're able to do this process over and over again. This gives you fast exits and upgrades and opens bigger opportunities. This opens you up for, like I said, commercial, which can defer taxes. It opens you up for anything you want to get into because now you have the cash to do so. And you can do it in a way that's predictable. Okay. So the real question, do you want to retire someday? Is your goal to put up enough money to retire? Or do you want to design an exit? Do you want to choose how you get out of your business or your job or whatever you're doing? Do you want more knowledge about real estate? Do you want to know how to get into commercial, how to do not just commercial, but how to do hybrid fractional investing, things like that? Or do you want a structured path with accountability? Some people struggle with just holding themselves accountable and they need that help. Let's talk about how to start with no risk. And I'm going to explain this so you can see how it's no risk. You can build your exit plan this year. Now, what I'm about to share with you, not everybody is ready for this. And I put this together because I'm sure when you're on these webinars, everybody says to you, just make this $50,000 investment and we'll teach you how to do something and whatever. This process only works with discipline and a liquidity strategy. That's why I kind of laid out a few liquidity strategies to get out of it. And we only work with serious professionals to do this, people that actually have the means to get into bigger investments, or they want to build the means quickly to get in bigger investments. Now, the first step of this actually shouldn't be make this investment, spend this money. It should actually be trust. It should actually be trust. You don't know if what I'm saying is true or if it's full of caca. That's my own private word, but you don't know if it's legit. So what we put together was something to help you figure out if it's legit. We have what we call start learning this risk free with the sprint. So let me explain how the sprint works. We have a 14-day sprint. Okay. What is a 14-day sprint? It is going to show you how to build a mini marketing funnel and start talking to high equity sellers. It's going to put you in touch with high equity sellers. Okay. Follow the steps in the sprint and you'll see results without risking the bank. Okay. You can join our 14-day sprint, follow the steps, and if you don't get the results that we tell you in 14 days, we give you your money back, no risk. So you are not at risk of anything. The only reason we charge is because we want you to be committed and take accountability, but this is a process to learn what we do. It is not to teach you the entire process. It is to teach you the process of doing a deal, okay? Getting started on a deal and seeing the actual results come about. What does that do? The sprint is a $99 sprint. Okay. You spend $99. You work on it for 14 days. You follow the steps. It's very easy to follow steps. If you are able to do that, then we will do a call with you. We'll talk about what your results are. If you're ready to take the next step and you say, hey, I'm talking to somebody, I think I might have a deal, we'll show you the next steps of working with us. If you decide, all right, I did everything, this didn't work at all for me, my area is not fit for it, I don't imagine that happening because we wouldn't make this offer. But if that happens to you, you can get a credit toward working with us in the future, or you can get a refund. It's up to you. But the goal is for you to actually take steps. This is not about you spending all the money off your credit card and taking all these steps. It's about getting started today. If you are interested in this, let me know in the chat. I'll send you a DM with the link to the sprint. Like I said, it's 14 days. So you're literally going to work on this for 2 weeks. It is not going to take you 2 weeks to do it. It's going to take the time. It's giving you not only the time to do it, but a little bit of extra time so you can start talking to people and going through the entire process. But it's beneficial. It's for someone who is ready to take action. You don't want to bet the farm on something that you're not shown, that's not proven to you. This lets you get started in an easy way, kind of see what's going on. And then if you decide, hey, this works for me, then you can get into the next level and work with us to grow it out into a business. Now, From that, that's my presentation for right now. Do you have any questions about what we do? Any of the stuff I've discussed? If you got questions, either raise your hand or put it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer questions and talk to you about it. And answer anything from the Land Trust X thing to the how we find properties, all of that stuff. Any questions for me on any of this before we get out of here and end this? Like I said, the 14-day sprint is a realistic way to get started without taking a headfirst dive. You don't have to get on a call and listen to a spiel for 45 minutes. You can just get into the process, learn it. It's step by step. We'll show you exactly what to do. Do you use multiple marketing channels? In some cases, yes. We have one primary channel, and then I usually suggest that there are two or three other channels that you can use. Some depending on your area, some people use multiple channels, some people use just one specific channel. I've done it with one specific channel and had a lot of success with it. Every once in a while, I will test because we test a lot. We do test multiple channels, and sometimes the multiple channels do work better. But our process is kind of multi-channel, so it's about getting out the marketing and then follow up. And we have a very good follow up system that doesn't require a lot of hands-on work. So in that respect, yes, we do multiple marketing channels. But I will tell you this: the marketing channels, in my opinion, are not the first and most important issue. Um, the biggest issue is that people go after the wrong type of deal when they're marketing. And what do I mean by that? Um, when we market, we have to do something we call pre-marketing. We run an algorithm, and that algorithm allows us to see where in your area you should be marketing to. It not only shows where properties have the best chance of having a lot of equity in them, but it also shows this, it crosses that against people that are in markets where people are trying to buy. So there are a lot of first time homeowners, investors, whoever it is, buying property. So you can go into those areas, you can pick up property, and not only will you find stuff below market, or not, I don't want to say below market, not only will you find stuff that has a lot of equity in it that you can negotiate, you also, when you buy it, there's a very strong chance that you'll have somebody in that area that wants to buy that property. I have a story about one of our students, Yolanda. Yolanda is in the Washington, D.C. area. She did a deal, and she did $134,000 on her deal, and she bought three condos from a landlord that was tired of being a landlord. I've got another student, Lisa, who did a deal in Chicago, and Lisa was able to do a $175,000 deal, buying it from another tired landlord. Kyra, another student, bought a deal from a mother and daughter who inherited a house, and they didn't want the house anymore. They were moving out of state and they didn't want the house, and it was vacant. And she did a $50,000 deal on it. So the marketing is important. What do you think about paid ads like Google? So here's the thing. Google and Facebook can be very expensive, very expensive. They literally can be a black hole for investment. Um, when we do our multi-touch marketing, we do a very specific. So we have a process where we can market to one person on Facebook, and it sounds weird the way I'm saying it. We can literally target our marketing to one person. I don't like broad-based marketing for localized investment. You're going to end up hitting a lot of people you don't need to, but if you can narrow it down to specific people and then market to those specific people, even with Facebook ads, not so much Google PPC, pay per click, but with Facebook ads, then you can have pretty good success. So that's my take on Facebook ads. The way most people do it, where they just blanket market an area, there's 50 people blanket marketing an area. So you're running into two things. One, you're competing with their marketing dollars to get in front of those eyeballs. Two, you have no control of the eyeballs you get. That reminds me of bandit signs. Back in the day, long time ago, we used to do bandit signs. And bandit signs will make your phone ring. You will get people to call you all day long. Facebook ads will make your, I don't want to say make your phone ring. They'll make your lead list fill up, if that makes sense. The problem with both is you have no control over what you're getting. People might have no equity. People might not be in a part of town you want to invest in. People might have the property that they're bringing to you doesn't even make sense. The way we do it, we use our algorithm. Ours is very targeted. Every time our phone rings, It's somebody that has a type of property we want in an area we want with the equity amount that we want. So at that point, we're not negotiating. We're not getting on a call to see if what they have is something we're interested in. We're getting on a call just to see if they're motivated. That's different. They already have equity. We just need to see if they're motivated enough to come off enough of the equity, and we can do that in one phone call. It the trade-off is with our process, you'll probably get less leads. That's more than likely the case. But the lead quality we get is much higher than what you'll typically get with Facebook ads, pay per click, text message blast, all that kind of stuff. We'll get, and it's not because of the distribution channel. It's actually because of the quality of how we went through the process we went through before we even started marketing, if that makes sense. It's kind of a long-winded answer, but it makes, I want people to understand why we don't do certain things. A lot of people do Facebook ads and Google pay per click, and you can dump thousands of dollars into there and see if it makes sense. But in my experience, it hasn't been great. At least that way. So good, Mike. I'm glad it makes sense. Any other questions for me on this process on buying properties and immediately getting rid of them, and doing it in a way where you're going to make large sums of money? Now, I will tell you this. Most of my students, the typical profit margin on a deal is usually $35,000 or better. Now, that's our profit margin average on what we've done. A lot of my students, they have a much smaller window. They haven't been doing it as long as us, and they've done deals where they've done $50,000, $100,000, $80,000. I think that's two parts. I think it's one because they haven't done as many deals, so they haven't had their average. Our average goes down. We've done $150,000, $200,000 deals. In fact, we did a portfolio of 27 houses, and we did it was we 20 houses. We did one where we bought for, it was worth 3.1 million. We bought it for 800 and something thousand. Sold those properties in 4 months. We generated over $1 million in profit, not revenue, but profit after everything was done. And then we did a 27 property portfolio. And we did, it was what was that? The 27 was 2.8 million. And we did that at 1.2. So we did just over eight or $900,000 in profit when everything was done. It took us 6 months to get rid of that portfolio. So we actually made more in the 20 property, but it was a better deal overall. But I say that to say the process works. It makes really good money, and it allows you to have cash. Now, the problem with the cash is you are going to have a tax problem when it's all said and done. But that's why we got into the commercial, because we can defer the money into commercial and then we can do a couple of things with commercial. You can do a 1031 exchange if you want, but that is very stressful. But you can also do some other strategies that we use, and defer the taxes into commercial. So that's one of the reasons we do commercial. And we tell our students to work with us if they want to and get into commercial, because at the end of the day, deferring taxes into an even bigger investment is a great strategy, and it just feels nice. So, all right. Any other questions for me on any of this? Anything I need to answer? Anything in this process that did not make sense or you didn't get? Or you guys just sleep at the wheel and this is just my voice is just letting you sleep through the day, and go on to your next thing. So, Mike, I appreciate the questions. If there are no other questions, I will put a link up. If you want let me see if I can get this link for you. I'll put a link up. If you want to join the sprint, like I said, the sprint is low risk. You can get into it and you don't have to make a major investment. And you can it builds trust. You can see us work. You can see what we do works, and see the process and see if that process is for you. I'm glad you liked it, Mike. I'm glad. Here's the link to the sprint. I put it in the chat. You can join the sprint and check it out and see if it's something you want to do. It's no nonsense. It's not a bunch of fluff. It's not a bunch of rah rah shish boom bah, and it's no risk. If it doesn't work for you, if you follow the steps, it doesn't work, then you can always get on a call with us, get your money back, or get a credit into our bigger programs. But and when I say get your money back or get a credit, either one. But it's low risk. And like I said, we're more concerned with you instead of we just want you to invest. We're more concerned with you getting results. We want you to see some results and see that, hey, this works and what they're saying makes sense before you get into bed with us on a bigger level. Okay. All right, guys. I wish you the best. Have a great week. I enjoyed you. I hope you enjoyed me. As always, I would like to see you on the next call. Oh, if you came in late, we will put a replay up of this tomorrow, so you'll be able to get the replay and see everything that we talked about and go from there. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys later. The replay will be in your email tomorrow. Everybody that registered will get it in their email tomorrow. So you'll be able to click on it and watch it from the beginning, and it'll have the link to the sprint if you want to join that. As always, guys, I wish you the best. And